What's going on, everybody? So my last video was like a month ago, maybe, and I was getting the dart ready for power tour, and I was trying to film it as I went, and then I just stopped. Well, I really, I'm just not talented enough really to record and do work at the same time. And a lot of things were also pretty spread out, but so what I'm done here, let me think about this a minute. What I plan to do, so look, here's a sneak peek. Oh, bam, dart's back there. I did record enough for 2 videos up until I stopped recording my progress. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to post these 2 videos probably like tomorrow, both of them back to back. I may even make them one long video. It may be like a half-hour video. I don't know, but it's just kind of letting you know what I last recorded, what I'd last done, which was, I'm pretty sure it was mock the transmission up. Had to do some shimming and whatnot. It has some information in here that I didn't really want to just scrap this, not because it's a good video or anything, but for anybody that was wanting to put a T56 behind a small block Mopar or anything, it's got some good information in it, some good part numbers that folks might need in the future. So I'd like to go ahead and just put it out there. Even if the video is trash, it is what it is. What I plan to do, so obviously the car is over there. It's chilling. It's been together for, together running, driving for a minute now, probably 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even more than that, maybe a month. Not quite a month, I guess, maybe 2 weeks. But either way, what I want to do, we're getting ready to go on power tour. Power tour is going to be Sunday. We're leaving Sunday. Today is Thursday. And so I'm going to try to do daily videos on power tour. Maybe not be anything super special or fancy, just do like a vlog, I guess, of our days Sunday through however long till it takes us to get home, probably Saturday. Just keep everybody kind of in the loop, keep all my friends and family in the loop of what we got going on. But what I'm gonna do now, obviously I've done most of the work to the car already. I'll give you a walk around in the first power tour video of what we've done to the car, what's new and all that. But for now, I'm just gonna throw these 2, maybe even 1, I'm not sure yet, videos together and get them out there just to kind of keep you, or to get you up closer to speed. And then I'll just pick up after that from there. So, sorry, I haven't been a very good YouTuber, they say. But sorry for that. Anyway, check this out. And I'll catch back up with you in present day again. So let's jump back in time a little. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So, last video you saw, we got the darts engine cleaned up, painted, sealed back up, intake painted and whatnot. Front timing cover swapped over to Magnum for the serpentine setup. We got the T56 pretty well close. We got the mid plate put on, got it shimmed up right. You can see all my little shim marks. We got it shimmed up in there. The bell housing is just kind of chilling right now. I still do have to set the slave cylinder spacing, but I'm not concerned with that today. What I'm gonna try to do today is get the transmission in the car. I have the transmission mount from American Powertrain. Huge shout out to those guys. I got that mount. I got this bell housing. So what we're gonna try to do today is I've just got the motor mounts on the engine, just enough to get it sit in there, and that's all I'm gonna put on it for now, because it's gonna have to come back out, and I'm gonna have to go through and change spark plugs and go through polish valve covers, do the brackets and whatnot. It may not have to come back out, but I'm anticipating it having to come back out. So all I plan to do today, I plan to cut the floor of that car up enough, hopefully, to see if we can get this transmission in there and bolt it up to this cross member we have here. That is the goal. So let's try to get into it. All my camera equipment is MIA, so it's gonna be random GoPro tripod shots and snippets of me. Sorry. Well, we got the car pushed in. So far, all we've got is the seats out of it. I got to pull all the interior out. It's been kind of used as a storage bin. It's been really dirty, so Got to pull the interior, front half of the carpet out, probably roll the back half back, and get to snipping away, because there's a lot of this tunnel that's going to have to be removed to fit the old T56 over there. All right, so far we've got the sill panels out, seat belts out, seats out, and I think I've decided we're gonna go ahead and actually pull the back seat and the back half of the carpet as well, just so we have room to see everything. And I'm going to ignore this. This used to be attached up there, no longer attached. But I think I'm gonna actually pull the entire heater box out as well. Since the cooling system's already drained, not a big deal. And I've seen that with that particular bell housing, you kind of run into problems right in here. So we'll go ahead and pull this whole box out. That way we could really get a clear picture of what we're doing. And just in case I have to cut up there. It's not hard. It's a non-AC car, so it's not a huge deal to do that. Just a couple of cables and it's pretty much out. So back to it. Update. Carpet's out. Floor still looks good. Whenever I had the car apart, I used some Pour 15 on it to keep it from rusting. We put some kill mat down. Not quite as much as we used in the Festiva, but it's enough. Enough to make it quiet. This whole section of floor is gonna have to go. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a big mess. A big mess. But now I need to get my heater box out. Then we can start cutting. All right, heater box is out. We got it up on the lift. I think what I'm gonna do now is attempt to mark where the cross member goes, which I believe it uses the 2 outside bolt holes on either side, and then mount it, mark it, and then cut the remaining, and then cut the floor from the bottom. That way I kind of know where I need to locate it, or start the cut from the bottom at least. So yep, we're gonna try that. We'll see how it goes. Once I start cutting, it's point of no return. All right, we have got the cross member, wherever it is. There it is. It's out. It's cut out. We have the American Powertrain T56 cross member kind of just sitting up in there right now. I don't have the correct hardware because this takes a smaller bolt to go through it, and I have to drill another hole here, but we're not to that just yet. But we do have it cut out under there enough to where this will slide up. So now I need to start hacking up the floor to where maybe it will accept the transmission itself. All right, so this is my method of attack for the trans tunnel. So rather than cutting a massive hole out in the floor, I just cut a line down the middle, peeled it back. That way, if I do too much, I could potentially peel it, back over, lay it back over the transmission and patch it in the middle. I figure, since we're just guessing, this is a better way to do it. Because worst case scenario, you lay it down flat, you may have to add a little patch panel here and there, but it should line back up good enough. So I think we're to the point where we're going to test fit some stuff. We'll see. So we've got the engine sitting in there just for mock-up purposes. I don't even have the headers on it. And you have to have the headers in here before you set the engine in with these headers in this car. But we just have it sitting in there, and it's kind of the same level as it will be once the transmission's in the car. So now that that's kind of chilling, we can go up and mess with the bell housing, but we'll probably do that tomorrow. It's kind of getting late, starting to get late in the day, so we'll probably cut that off for now and check back tomorrow. What's going on, everybody? So we're back on it again today. Really late start to the day. I actually had some company come by that kind of put me back a little bit, but we're back on the dart. We got the engine set in yesterday, and we're to the point of starting to see if the bell housing will fit, which I kind of threw it up there yesterday. This lip is an issue. We may have to do some figuring on that lip, maybe do some chopping and get that out of here. Don't know if the rest of the tunnel is gonna be fine yet or not. We'll find out as soon as we get the bell housing put up there. So that's what I'm gonna work on, and I I'll update you as I go. Like I said, I even left my GoPro at home today, so phone updates is what you get. Sorry about it. All right, we've got a little more cut, and looking at this here, that is going to be really fun to get to unless I, give us a little clearance, because you got to bleed the slave cylinder there. So that is going to be fun. Luckily, the Malwood kit, it has a AN fitting, so that'd just be a straight line that goes in there. It won't be no big deal there. I'm able to get to these two outside bolts fairly easily with extensions and whatnot. Obviously, I can take the transmission off and install the bell housing separately once it's all together. That may be what I have to do. The top bolts, they're looking not good. However, I kind of have the engine resting on this block here, which is about how it sits in the car, I would say. It's pretty close. It may be a little taller, but it's pretty close. So that gives me a rough idea for now. But I know that if I take the transmission mount down and let the transmission hang down, that I can have a little more room to get up there, especially if I do away with this seam right here or notch it or something. So far we're doing okay. Now we're ready to stick the old transmotion in there and see how it clears the rest of the tunnel, and then we'll go from there. I may not be doing this right, but who knows? We'll see. I'm sure some of you will tell me. Let me know. Is this the right way you do this? I don't know. I'm just cutting, trying stuff. Well, I started to make some pretty good progress, and then I had to stop and back up because it just made too much sense, right? So I got the transmission on the air jack here as good as I could. Kind of sketchy. But I went to go start to put it up in there, and then I had the flex plate on it still. And I was thinking, to do this right, I really need to, simulate how it's going to have to be going in the car if I ever have to pull the transmission out. And the flex plate is a lot thinner than the actual clutch and flywheel and, pressure plate and all that. So I figured I need to go ahead, slap the clutch on. I actually picked up this clutch and flywheel combination from a buddy of mine that had bought a whole combination from Silver Sport, and he ended up getting about 1,000 miles on it in a small block, and then he swapped it, the 318 for a 6.4 Hemi, so he couldn't use the flywheel, clutch, pressure plate. It's all got like 1,000 miles on it. He cut me a really good deal on it. Appreciate him for that. So I'm gonna get that slapped in. That way I can more accurately, figure out, oh, it's gotta come back this far, then slide forward, That way we know more like what we're working with. So let me get with that. I'll get that put in there, and I'll touch back. So something to keep in mind here when working with an externally balanced engine like this Magnum 360 is up there. So from the factory, the Magnum 360 had an automatic behind it, and it was balanced by the flex plate, that big weight right there on the flex plate. That balanced the Magnum 360 externally, that and the harmonic balancer, obviously. Well, in this case, we're swapping to a flywheel. If I was to throw this flywheel right on there and not have a weight on it, this neutral balance flywheel here, it would rattle. It would have a vibration. So, hopped on eBay. A fella actually makes universal weights for different engines. So, like this one here, we got late model 340s that were externally balanced. All 360s were externally balanced. And then the 94 to 02 Magnum engines, which is what we have here, install extra large weight. Bam. That is for a Magnum 360 here. The 94 to 02 extra large weight attached in the A, position A, has it up here sketched. Here's the holes we're looking at. We actually have an A and a C, where he has an A and a C. It comes with this weight, smooth side up. There we go. These tapered screws here, bolts, put them in. I'm gonna Loctite them, put them down. No further instructions, so we'll just we'll Loctite them good, put them down, then we should be good to bolt this thing up. I also got some ARP hardware for the clutch, flywheel, and pressure plate, so I'll go ahead and look up the ARP specs for that, get this bolted down, then we'll get it figured out in the car. All right, got my weight put on there, got it red lock, tightened down, and good to go. I got my ARP hardware set out. There's my crank bolts, pressure plate bolts. Here's my clutch. It's like a McLeod Street Pro or something like that. I don't know if it's gonna hold the power. I think it's rated for 400 or 450. I think it's rated for like 400. So this 360 Magnum, I expect this one to make around, close ballpark 450 torque or so. So we may end up needing a clutch. I've already got a backup clutch, in the cart, haven't ordered it. So we're just gonna put it together with what we got and see, dial everything else in. And then if it comes to it, we'll pull it back out, swap clutches. But we've got the clutch. Now I need to bolt flywheel on the engine, figure out ARP specs for that, get that up there, get my clutch alignment tool and all that, get that taken care of. Then I'll touch back once that's up in there, and then we'll go into putting the transmission up in the hole. All right, we got our flywheel on and torqued, and now we need to install our pilot bearing. And for anyone curious, here's our custom machine pilot bearing for a Magnum crankshaft with a T56, or at least a GM T56 input shaft. Here's part number, PBCH-110. 110, not 110, 110. So I gotta get this up in there. It's already greased up. I'll put a little grease on the end of the input shaft before we go in with it. I'll get this tapped up in place, and we'll get the clutch put on, pressure plate put on, and we'll be in good shape. Well, we got her installed. Got the pilot bushing, the clutch, pressure plate, all that's torqued to spec. Now I'm seeing that I'm probably gonna have to trim more. Don't mind this. Got a little brake clean on the paint. I'm gonna have to trim more to slide the transmission in and out. Either that, or I need to go ahead and actually let the engine set down as far as it will, and then we'll try to slide it in there. I'm not sure. But this bell housing, now it's, about half price of a QuickTime, but it is not small. I have heard of people having clearance issues, and I believe it. So I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna have to go ahead and get this engine setting down that extra inch or so, and see if it'll slide in like that. All right, so where we cut off, I was just about to put the transmission into the car and mock it up. And I actually did do that later that evening with a little help. Since then, everything's back out now. I'll put a couple of pictures of how it mocked up in the car. It fit really good, actually. So that's all I'm gonna do for this one. I looking back at the footage, is kind of long and drawn out. So I'm just gonna end this one here. It was in there. I'll put some pictures, like I said, and then we'll pick up in the next video of what we're fixing to do. So stay tuned for that. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the old T56 360 Magnum powered Dodge Dart for Power Tour build here. So what you saw last time is I got like the flywheel, clutch assembly, pilot bearing, whatnot, everything on the engine and sitting over in the car. And then I was just going to mock up the transmission and got it mocked up in the car. Now everything's back out because I had to do, like I said, that was just some mock-up. I now know it fits. Now I'm having to do some more things, and our timer for Power Tour is counting down pretty good. We only got like a month and 12 days left. So I really needed to get all that stuff back out and knock out a few more things on the list. So since then, just in off time here, I've had the steering box out, went ahead and resealed it. I did it once before, had a seal that was leaking a little bit, grabbed another kit, resealed it, put new seals down here on the pitman shaft, on the output and input side of it, and a new seal right under that cap. It's not too big of a deal, not too bad of a job. There are plenty of people that show you how to do it on YouTube, so not an issue there. Got that taken care of. Well, then we ran into one of the bigger issues, and that is the slave cylinder shimming right back there. So you're supposed to measure this thing. You twist it, you take the spring off here, and you collapse the slave cylinder all the way back, and then you put a straight edge across it, and you measure from the front of the slave cylinder collapsed to the mounting surface right there for your bell housing. And then you do the same thing. Well, actually, the bell housing is supposed to be bolted on the engine at this point. So, but either way, same thing. You're measuring from this flat spot to where the bell housing bolts itself. Then you bolt the bell housing to the engine, and you measure from the transmission mating surface of that to these fingers on the clutch fork there, or on the clutch. And you're supposed to get somewhere around 250 thousandths clearance. Well, I think it's actually 125 to 200 or 150 to 250, depending. I've read different things, but no matter what, whenever I did all my measuring, I was coming out to a lot more than spec. And it probably has to do with the fact that I'm using, this is an LT1 front plate that's been modified. You know, you can see it's LT1 because it's got the cutout for the big clutch fork. That's been modified to fit the LS style input or slave cylinder. And then I'm using obviously this aftermarket bell housing here, and it's going, you know, a GM transmission going to a Mopar Magnum engine there. So it's kind of an odd combination. And I, didn't think it would be this bad, but apparently, and I've talked to another fella, it happened to him as well. Same exact setup, he had the same problem. So every time, Tick Performance, by the way, has the equation you use. But every time I did the math, I come out to around 900. Well, I did it, then I had my professional machinist uncle do the same measurements. He come out to 981. He had a lot more precise tools than I did. But come out to over 900 thousandths gap in that slave cylinder, which, that's almost an inch there, 9/10 of an inch. So that was way, way too much, way more than the 100, let's just say 200, make it easy, 200,000 spec. And I did get some shims from Tick Performance for the slave cylinder down here, but they only come as a pack of 3. It was 180 thousandths, 113 thousandths, and 55 thousandths. And that altogether obviously wasn't anywhere near an inch. So what we had to do to get the spec right is actually, my uncle, I don't know if you could see, there's a big chunk, big shim back there that he went and machined and made that come out to 426 thousandths. And that, coupled with the 180, 115, and 55, got me to a total spec of, I think it's 182 thousandths. So just below 200 thousandths. That's perfectly within spec. That's what we needed. So another problem I run into spacing that thing out, nearly an inch, is the bell housing notches for the bleeder and for the clutch feed line. They wouldn't work. It was hitting. Had to take a grinder. Dad had to take a grinder to it and open up these notches. That way we can get in there and bleed this thing and run our clutch line through. So that's taken care of. That's bolted up. I actually I had to go get longer bolts. So I need to get those Loctited and put in there. That way we ain't got to worry about that anymore. This is all taken care of. I haven't done anything more to the engine. Just been gathering a couple parts for it, for the Magnum serpentine swap. So what I'm going to do today, what I plan to do is I plan to get the engine back in there with the headers over here. It's going to go going in there, hopefully it's like final time for now. It's not going in there for mock-up. It's going in there to stay. So we're going to get it in there with the headers and then try to stick the transmission over in it again and get it bolted up to the cross member. I'll show you guys that. I kind of run into trouble with the cross member. It's not the cross member's fault by any means. It's user error. I didn't pay any attention to it. But I'll show you what I'm talking about whenever we get it back in there. It's not really a big deal. And so, yeah, we're going to get this stuff knocked out, get it in there. While I have it up in the air, I need to look at the fuel system too. So I'll probably pull the sending unit out, see if I could do any modifications to it like I did the Valiant, put an in-tank fuel pump, because I can't run a mechanical fuel pump with the Magnum. I got to run an electric fuel pump. So, all right, Dad and I got the engine stuck over in there. I've actually went ahead got the headers on and bolted up. I'm gonna tie the headers up by the torsion bars. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a minute, to keep it from laying on the steering arm. But got some company here, so they're gonna help me out working on it. I'll try not to record too much. They don't like cameras, so I'll just kind of update you whenever we get where we are. But yeah, got the engine stuck in. So what we're gonna do now is tie the headers up, get the transmission put in, get it bolted up. We'll go from there. Hoping we get the transmission in, get it bolted up, and I can do a little front accessory work, pull the fuel sending unit off and whatnot, but we'll just see how far we get. Well, company's gone, progress has been made. So like you saw, we got the engine stuck in there since. We have actually also got the T56 stuck in there with the American Powertrain T56 cross member. Got it up in there, got everything bolted up on it, got the dust shield in, the starter on, the headers on, waiting to bolt the exhaust up right now. I had to disconnect all the steering link stuff, so I got that taken care of again. It's definitely probably gonna need an alignment, pretty bad. It's not as straight as it looks. It's pretty turned. But either way, it's gonna need an alignment, no big deal. So that's probably all I'm gonna do for today. I need to bolt the exhaust up, just make sure that it does clear all the cross member, whatnot. And then if it does all clear like it's supposed to, next thing is gonna be bracing the torsion bar mount over the transmission and then blocking this in. You know, we'll plate that in, no big deal. And getting the drive shaft made. Then I need to work on fuel system, because, you know, like I said, going from mechanical to electric. So I need to work on fuel system, get that figured out. Then, well, once I have the fuel system, as far as fuel pump goes, then it should be able to run. Once we get the drive shaft, we should be able to drive, ideally, right? I do have to put the hydraulic clutch pedal in. I have it over here, all of my box of goodies right here. So there it is. My Malwood underdash. Appreciate American Powertrain. If you're gonna manual swap your car, they got what you need. So yeah, I gotta get the hydraulic clutch put in. I've already got the line on right there. I'll get it in, get it bled, make it operational. That way, whenever I get the tunnel finished and whatnot, we can potentially move this mug around. So that's all we're gonna do for today. It was pretty short, but I'll catch back up tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, we're back on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Whole bunch of yard work being done out there. Picking back up on the dart. I did go ahead, I bolted the exhaust up. It does clear the torsion bar stuff, so that is good. Well, it doesn't clear right there, but I think that's always been there, actually, because there's a flat spot in the exhaust. So we're gonna ride with it until it vibrates and makes noises, then I'll fix it. But yeah, we got it cleared. I got the old speedometer cable and neutral safety switch / reverse light wires out. I may leave these down here because the purple wire, if I remember, is my reverse lights, and I can potentially get a little harness, and I think it plugs right there on the T56 right there. And I can get my reverse lights working. I did get my reverse lockout solenoid in. I'll bring it down here in a little while and show you that. It's like a, well, not solenoid. I guess it deletes the solenoid. It's just a manual reverse lockout thing. I got that stuck in there. I'm going to work on brackets today, potentially, and fuel system while I have it up here. So, well, since we've got the transmission installed and some other things tinkered with, you know, here I actually got it's a little eBay reverse lockout, like a mechanical deal. Feels pretty good. So what we're gonna do right now, I think we're to the point, potentially trying to install this Malwood USA underdash clutch pedal that I got from American Powertrain. This is supposed to be by far the easiest way to put a hydraulic clutch in one of these cars. It's literally a 2-bolt installation process here. So let's see how this goes. Well, first thing we're doing is seat wouldn't bolt down, so we just chunked that out of the way. I grab the hardware out of it. Dadgummit. And this other bolt here. 1 second. All right, we got our 2 bolts out of it. Let's see about how it's gonna sit up in there. Let me mock it up. Hold on. All right, so we've got it kind of just sitting up in there. I don't have anything bolted in. It was kind of a booger to get up in there, having to get around all this bracketry and stuff. But there's one bolt hole right there, and then it's kind of lined up there with the long bolt hole where it needs to go through. So I'll try to get the bolts in, see where it's going to sit, and then I think I'm going to be able to run my clutch line through right there where I have my wideband going through. I could probably snake it through that grommet right up to there, and it would be just fine. And then I have to figure out where my fill line is going to go. I have it going out the speedometer hole in the dash right now, but I don't really like that, so I'm going to see what I need to do. But let me get this thing bolted in, potentially, see where we need to go from there.